It's that time of year again. New Year's resolutions, fresh starts, goal setting, vision boards. This is your year, right? But if you're honest with yourself, you've made some version of this resolution before. Maybe it was finding a better relationship, setting boundaries, choosing yourself, losing weight, being more confident, and it didn't stick. Not because you lack willpower, not because you're not trying hard enough, but because you're trying to create something different on the outside while what's happening inside is still creating the same thing. Let me explain. For years, I kept thinking the problem was external. The wrong job, the wrong city, the wrong relationship. If I could just change the circumstances, everything would finally click into place. Sound familiar? So I changed jobs, moved cities, ended relationships, and started new ones. But somehow, the same feelings followed me. The same patterns, the same exhaustion. Different people, different places, same story. That's when I realized my external world wasn't the problem. It was the mirror. And what it kept reflecting back was what was happening internally. The story I was telling myself about who I was and what I deserved. The belief that love had to be earned, that I wasn't enough as I was, that if I could just achieve a little more, be a little better, shrink a little smaller, I'd finally be chosen. That internal story, it was running everything. And no amount of external change could shift it. I could move across the country, change careers, start a new relationship, but the story inside stayed the same. So the external reality kept reflecting it back. And that's why your resolutions keep failing. Not because you're not disciplined enough, not because you're broken, but because you're trying to change behavior without addressing what's driving it internally. You can set the goal to attract better relationships all you want, but if you still believe deep down that love has to be earned or that your needs are too much, you'll keep choosing the same type of person. You can visualize the life you want, but if your internal story says, I'm not worthy of that, your nervous system will sabotage it every time. You can make the resolution to stop people pleasing and set boundaries. But if you internally believe your worth comes from making everyone else comfortable, those boundaries won't hold. The resolutions fail because you're working on the symptom, not the root. You're trying to fix the outside without shifting what's happening inside. And here's what most people don't understand. Affirmations won't fix this. Positive thinking won't fix it either. Goal setting and vision boards, they're not going to fix it either. Because you can't think your way past what's happening internally. You can't just override it with willpower or motivation. The internal world, the beliefs, the stories, the energy that's been frozen in place for years, it runs the show. And until you address that, the external will keep reflecting it back. I remember the moment my internal story finally shifted. I was sitting in my living room with my dog Bruce, tears streaming down my face, asking myself the question I'd been avoiding for years. Why do I keep choosing men who make me feel like I'm too much and not enough all at once? And instead of listing all the reasons they were wrong, I got honest because some part of me believes that's what I deserve. That was the moment. The moment I stopped blaming circumstances, the people, the timing, and I started looking at the story I'd been believing about myself. The story that said love had to be hard to be real, that I had to earn it. that if I could just be a little less sensitive, a little more easygoing, a little more perfect, I'd finally be chosen. That story had been running in me for years, and my external world kept reflecting it back. Relationships where I performed, proved, shrunk myself, trying to be enough. The moment I saw that story clearly, I couldn't live it anymore. I didn't magically change, but I started choosing differently. Small choices, staying true to myself, even when it felt uncomfortable. Saying what I actually felt instead of what I thought they wanted to hear. Letting the discomfort sit instead of rushing to smooth it over. And relationships either had to evolve or end because I'd outgrown the story I'd been living from. And the external reality had to shift to match the internal one. That's what happens when you shift internally. Your external world has no choice but to follow. Not overnight, not perfectly, but inevitably. The people who needed you to be smaller, they fall away. The opportunities you couldn't see before, they become visible. The patterns you keep repeating, they finally break. Not because you forced it, because you're no longer available for what used to run you. So here's my question for you as we step into 2026. What story have you been living from that's creating the same external reality over and over? Maybe it's I'm too much. Maybe it's love has to be earned. Maybe it's I'm only valuable when I'm productive. Whatever it is, you can't shift it by addressing what's happening outside. You need to look inside. And I know that's not the sexy answer. It's not the quick fix. It's not the 10 steps to your best year ever that everyone else is selling right now, but it's the truth. You don't need a new you. You need to stop abandoning the you that's already here. You don't need more willpower. You need to shift the internal story that's been running the show. You don't need better resolutions. You need to address the root. And here's the good news. Once you shift what's happening inside, the outside has no choice but to follow. The right people show up and the wrong ones fall away. Opportunities align and clarity comes. Peace replaces exhaustion. Not because you fixed yourself, because you stopped believing you needed fixing in the first place. Before you make your resolutions this year, ask yourself, what internal story am I ready to shift? What am I ready to see clearly that I haven't been willing to see before? Start there, not with a goal, not with the behavior change, but with the story underneath it all. That's where real transformation begins. And if you need help seeing the story you can't see from the inside, that's what I do. I interrupt the pattern. I ask the questions you can't ask yourself, the ones that shift the view and reveal what's been running the show all along. So if you're ready, book a pattern breakthrough session. The link is in the description and it's in my bio. You don't need a new you in 2026. You just need to remember who you already are. And I'll see you in the next video.